Bhante, there's a question on the internet. The student is not really clear. Does the Buddha know how many chairs here today? And I think he actually want to know what do you stand? What is your opinion?
My opinion. Okay, if one accepts the commentarial explanation that the Buddha can know whatever he turns his mind towards, that will come into the range of his knowledge. So that's the position of the Theravada commentators. So in that case, the number of chairs in this library today would have been of absolutely no concern to the Buddha 2,500 years ago in India. So he wouldn't have turned his mind to the number of chairs that are here today.
Thank you. And then I myself have a question to follow up this.
Yeah.
Does the Buddha know today there's a monk, Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi, correctly expound the Dharma, and how many students paying attention, how many students asking irrelevant questions? It is relevant because it's the Dharma and his disciple.
Yeah, but I think that would not be relevant to... Okay, let us put it this way. For me to know the answer to that question, I would have to have the sufficient omniscience to be able to have turned to the Buddha's mind 2,500 years back in the past and to find out what the Buddha was thinking. Since I can't do that, I just have to say, I don't know.
Thank you, Bhante. I rejoice your answer. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, Venerable Manga.
Isn't there a place in the Nikayas where the Buddha was asked straightly whether he was omniscient or not, and he said no?
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, it's the sutta, let's see. It's with Vajragota. Vajragota was a wanderer. Let's just see exactly what it says. Te Vijja Vajragota Sutta. Okay, now I see the place. Okay, so Vajragota says that he's heard that the recluse Gautama claims to be omniscient and all-seeing, to have complete knowledge and vision. Whether I am walking, standing, sleeping, or awake, knowledge and vision are continuously and uninterruptedly present to me. So he's saying, is that true or is that false? And then the Buddha says, this is not the case, that those who say that are misrepresenting me. Then Vajragota says, how should we explain correctly? Then you should answer, the recluse Gautama has the threefold true knowledge. So in that case, you'll be speaking truthfully, not misrepresenting me. Okay, what I would say is that what the Buddha is rejecting here is the claim to be, what being omniscient and all-seeing entails on this claim is that one has knowledge and vision continuously and uninterruptedly present in all activities. And so certainly the Buddha wouldn't have that knowledge, and the Theravada commentaries don't accept omniscience in that sense. According to the Buddhist text, this was the claim that Mahavira, the Niganta, the head of the Jains, made about himself. But I think that position, maybe it's not represented correctly, and the Jain position is not represented correctly in the Buddhist texts. So having the ability to know whatever one turns one's mind towards is not the same as having omniscience continuously and uninterruptedly present. So, for example, if the Buddha is sitting here, he wants to know what are the monks doing he's sitting here in Sravasti, and he wants to know what are the monks in the bamboo grove in Rajagaha doing now. So he turns his mind to that, and immediately they will come into the scope of his mind, and he'll know what they're doing. So in that sense, he can know that, but he doesn't have this knowledge uninterruptedly. He has to turn his mind to what he wants to know. Yeah, the work called the Pati Sambhida Magga, it's a kind of commentarial work, but old enough to have been included in the Pali Canon, in the Sutta Pitaka. There's one of the knowledges ascribed to the Buddha is called Sabanyuta Jnana, all knowledge. So it says that he knows without exception all dhammas that are conditioned and unconditioned, and there's no obstruction to that. So he knows the entire past, he knows the entire future. Uh-oh, he got me. He knows everything in the present. Then he knows the I forms, and so on. I would say that makes better sense. Yeah.
You only have a negative connotation to a person knowing, but
Yeah.
you think he's either doing something
Yeah.
to create a future, or 2,000 years ago, Buddha said, this is what the world is. This is what I'm casting upon the world. I think it's probably just knew how.
Yeah, I would say the principles rather than specific facts.
process of self-inquiry which the Buddha wants you to follow.
Yeah.
And his teachings and belief versus not belief, because that's what we spoke about today.
Yeah.
There are some teachings are not setting you on the right path, and there are some teachings like the Buddha's which are setting you on the right path.
Yeah.
But how do you then split that from the process of self-inquiry? Self-inquiry would mean that you just keep, going through the motions, even with Buddhism, and then just do your own thing.
I'm not quite sure that I get the question.
If you're questioning
Yeah.
in your own process of discovery, you are required to question, and the Buddha says, question even my teachings.
Yeah.
Right? If you are told certain of them.
Yeah.
So that's a very important aspect
Yeah.
anyway of learning.
Yeah.
So obviously when the Kalamas went to different masters and they tried to absorb their teachings,
Yeah.
They ended up confused.
Yeah.
How would it have helped them to have the teachings of the Buddha also put into their state of mind and put them on the track? I mean, if somebody came to you and said, I'm so confused.
You mean rather than to do the inquiry themselves entirely?
Yeah.
Well, you would notice from the way the Kalama Sutta is structured that even though the Buddha says you should accept only what you can know for yourselves, but the Buddha's questioning, the way he questions them, is designed to lead them to the conclusions that he wants them to draw. And at this point, the questions that he's asking them and the affirmations that he's drawing out from them do not require sort of belief in anything beyond one's immediate experience. But this doesn't mean that somebody who wants to make like a full commitment to the Buddhist path will then say, well, I'm not going to accept anything that lies beyond the range of my immediate investigation, my capacity to immediately to examine and personally verify for myself. Because the way I understand the Kalama Sutta, the way I apply it, one starts off with certain principles and practices that one could apply here and now and see that they are beneficial, wholesome, fruitful, improving one's own inner condition, one's relation with others. And one understands that these teachings, these practical, visible teachings, are coming from the Buddha. So then, after a certain period of sort of inquiry and experimentation on one's own, then one gains the trust that these teachings are coming from a source of great wisdom, and then one is willing to place that confidence or faith in the Buddha as one who has realized many things that lie beyond my own capacity to see and verify for myself. So then I'm willing to accept those teachings out of trust in the Buddha's wisdom and knowledge. Is that getting at it? Yeah, especially what always gives trouble to Western people is the workings of karma and rebirth and other realms of existence. I don't think other realms of existence should be a big problem when we have scientists discovering things like antimatter, antiprotons, dark matter, dark energy. I mean, if you...
The human lifespan is so short, that's the only thing. I think if we were living like 250 years, we would know so much more. But our lifespan is just so short, 50 to 70 years.
Yeah.
So obviously whatever we keep discovering just goes into some, pool for us also. Right? At 40, I may understand some new concept or some new theory.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help me in this lifespan. So maybe few eons later, when human life is 250 years, you may benefit from that knowledge. But right now, we don't really. It's just like it's just not easily relatable or translatable.
Well, there's a pool of knowledge which is passed on from generation to generation. So it's not that every generation, every person.
We may not benefit from it.
Oh, we
We may benefit in the future from it.
well, now practical applications of new theoretical knowledge seem to develop so quickly. The problem is that we don't foresee all of the consequences that come out from these new developments. Okay, like something like now, Facebook, I'm on Facebook, but I don't use it very much. But now all the time I see in the news headlines that the information that Facebook makes available is being exploited and abused. And people are even calling for it to be shut down, or for, what's his name, that young man who, Mark Zuckerberg, to resign.
Ante, it's just follow up of her comment. I have a trivial question. Who is the youngest enlightened disciple, and how old was he or her when she got enlightened?
It's said that there were some disciples, young monks, who achieved arhatship at the age of 7.
7.
Yeah.
You live long enough.
But they, of course, they would have had, we call paramis, and accumulations of knowledge and merits from previous lives. So they were just ripe enough for them to achieve realization at the age of 7.
Look up enlightened 8 times.
How were there all these child prodigies?
Yeah,
that
exactly,
can play
exactly.
piano and
Yeah.
so on? I mean, we could focus on how many chairs and tables and whatever, but it's just not relevant.
Of course,
It's a
I
waste.
just picked that as
no,
a
no,
random
you know what I
example.
mean? It's the Buddha didn't. I don't believe the Buddha wasted his time
Yeah.
on things
Yeah.
with all that had to be taught.
Yeah.
Hector and Nelia, I'm okay.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, then we end for the day. So we'll end with 3 half bows. Okay.